try that. Got it. Okay, so we will hear from Scott Heacock about the number 4 motion to approve the developer's agreement with Mission Coffee.
Can I go first?
Oh, sure. Dwayne, go ahead.
I'll go first, Scott. In front of you,
Pardon, Madam President.
Yes.
Did you say we do have a motion on the?
No, that's where we're going back to is number 4. I'm sorry.
before the motion.
Before the motion to discuss.
Oh, okay.
Okay, go ahead, Dwayne.
In front of you, I have your packet, an extra packet. It's supposed to be say Mission Coffee financial terms of the agreement. I put the wrong word in. This is just a thumbnail, but it's in the major agreement, which is also in the same packet. And then, so before I go further, I want to let you know that the development agreement that's in this packet is the one that has been reviewed by the Mission Coffee's attorney and our attorney, and has been finalized today by Nick in the agreement. And I've gone through it. So the main thing of it is it's going to be a land contract sale for a price of, and if the property is, I think it's 140 or 140 across the street over here. 140. The land contract sale price is $75,000. And the terms of it is an annual installment of 10% of the sale price, equaling to $7,500 due on July 1st of each year from 2025 through 2029, with the final payment of remaining outstanding balance of $37,500 due as a balloon payment by July 1st of 2029. Reason that dates are in there, that's the dates that our TIF district will close, and this is supposed to be paid back during the term of a TIF. Next thing, the TIF's going to be a grant of $5,000. That's an outside grant directly going to the developer. Next portion is a TIF loan of $50,000. It's an annual installation of 10% of the initial loan balance, equaling to $5,000 due on July 1st of each year from 2025 through 2029, with the final payment of the remaining outstanding balance of $25,000 due on July 1st of 2029. In both these statements, if the developer pays earlier, that the balloon would be lower, but that's available to that developer to do. And Village is applying for funding for WDEC Community Development Investment, the CID program. This program is based on $86,000, expected to be awarded by WDEC. And we have down below is the timetable for this whole project to be completed. The big thing is the whole document is drafted. The grant should be awarded by October 1st, 2024. If the grant is not awarded, then the whole project's off. So we got everything set up for that date and the grant portion of it. This document, this project was being in place before I even came aboard. A lot of different terms have been changed differently because it was considered more of a lease. I pushed on making the land contract, so it's a document that goes to the party. And also in the document is that they make payments for taxes during the period they have it. Those are the main things of the agreement. The next thing is the big document itself that has been going back and forth for, I'd say, a month or two, with the final document being finished by our attorney, Nick Apps, and also been reviewed by Jen's attorney, and she's out there too. And basically this document has been completed with those two attorneys working on it. So therefore I'm saying that I think both parties are agreeing upon the terms. The other thing in your packet is a letter of support that we would need to send to the Wisconsin Economic Development. That'll be signed by myself and the village president after you agree upon all this. And the final thing is a resolution that would need to be also go along with the grant application. So we'll have these two documents tonight for approval. I've been informed by Diane that our number has to change the topic. It's 2 more resolutions. I was doing this back a couple months ago. So the number would be, I think you said 2024 03. We'll change that. But those are the documents, and the whole project has been in front of the village for several months. And it's I'm hoping to get it completed tonight. And you can know, there is also Jen here, if she has any questions, and you also got Scott, if you have any questions on.
Yep. Scott, do you have anything to add to what Dwayne has said?
So we also have Scott Harrington on the line here. I think Dwayne covered the terms pretty well. We're just here to answer any additional questions if they come up.
Okay. Lon?
Okay, yeah, I have a couple questions. One is, what does the village have invested in this so far? And two, what is, I guess the percentages of securing this grant? Is it 50-50 or is it up in the air? Cause it seems like if the grant doesn't go according to this, the project's off.
Okay,
Correct.
your second question, I'll let Scott take, because he was doing most of the work for the grant. Been
Okay.
working with Jan, excuse me. Scott, could you help me with that question for trustee Lon?
Yeah, thank you for asking. Yes, we think it's a very good chance of getting the grant awarded. We did an initial application for this year's round of grants and got an initial approval from WEDC, and we'll need to go into next year's application period because we needed to get some financing finalized with Jen prior to, getting that all put together. And so, in our conversation with WEDC, no grant is ever guaranteed 100%, but, we had a very strong application this last round, an application the next fiscal year, which would be in around June or July, would have a very good chance of being successful.
Okay.
The first question, working with, Vanderwall and a group, I was working with them on the developer agreement, and went back and forth with different documentations, also the grant application that Vanderwall worked on. I just looked at the billing portion, so far, I think we invested $1,200 in getting this point.
Just one other question,
Mhm.
like me. So is there a plan B if the grant doesn't, if we don't secure the grant, is there a plan B
Basic,
by
sorry, go
the
ahead.
village or Mission Coffee?
I'd have to let Jan answer the question for Mission Coffee. And she's out there, right, if you want her to speak. Jan's here.
Any objection to go off table for Jen? Go
I have
ahead.
no objection.
Go ahead, Jen.
We don't have a firm plan B. I don't have sitting on a pile of money that I can pull from.
Okay.
That being said, we're extremely committed to being here. So if the village would entertain, we come back to the drawing board and see what we can make happen. That's a sizable grant we're going after. So for me to promise to absorb that, I just can't. But we have a lot invested at this point as well. I've got equipment waiting to be put in. I've got, we've put a considerable amount of financial equipment into this already. So we're not quick to walk away either. I would appreciate being able to go back to the drawing board with the board, but I don't have a firm plan B, no.
Okay, thanks.
And based on a village standpoint, if she doesn't have a firm plan B, we at that point in time, we decide if we don't have one, we would look at putting it back on the market, the property back on the market. That's what our alternative would be.
Okay.
So the grant could be awarded anytime between when and when?
The grant's being awarded between, estimate timeline, grant approval is between August 30th and that's why I put down October, because I was told that may be a little longer. I gotta ask Scott on that question.
So we know that probably by October 1st, it's not going to be entertained for this cycle.
We'll know it,
Yeah.
it definitely would. Is that right, Scott?
Yeah, this is Scott Harrington. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Because we're pushed into the next fiscal year, the grant probably wouldn't be awarded any earlier than September 1st. And I think in the agreement, we gave WEDC until either the end of November or December to make a final decision. And then, as you pointed out, Dwayne, if they don't award the grant and Jen is not able to move forward, then the village would be free to offer the property to somebody else. So we tried to create enough time for WEDC to make a decision. They couldn't be firm. I mean, the goal would be to do it as soon as possible once the new fiscal year starts, which would hopefully be at a meeting internally that they would have in September. But we gave them a little bit more time if needed. But basically by the end of the year, if the grant isn't awarded and Jen isn't able to move forward, then the village has the option to basically terminate this agreement and offer the property to somebody else.
Any other questions from board members?
I guess just a statement. Is there anything that we can do as a board to help secure the grant, or we did everything that we possibly can? Scott?
Yeah, I think you've done everything, with the resolution and the letter. Our contacts, as Scott pointed out, have been very strong with WEDC. I think there's a real desire on their part to have this project go forward. They were willing to actually try to sneak it in this year. But in terms of Jen pulling together all of her financing and getting this process done, we just weren't able to complete it in their time, and so had to push it into the next fiscal year. But I'm very hopeful that the grant will be awarded. And at this point, I think you're doing everything that the village needs to do. And if there's anything else, we'll certainly let you know.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions for anybody? Any
So-
discussion?
So the whole thing hinges on a grant.
Yes.
Okay.
So when I put the agenda together, it's to approve the developer agreements with Mission Coffee. If you agree upon it, it's a document that's in here, then be signed by the owner and the village. The other thing then would ask is you would consider the resolution that is actually should be 2024-04. 3-3. I'm gonna read it on here.
I got one more question.
Oh, go ahead.
So the grant and the loan would only be allowed if the the TIF grant and the TIF loan would only be approved if
If the
the WED Act.
Right.
WEDC grant.
All the other things are taken off the table.
Okay.
Right. Well, she could, if she decides to go forward without the grant and finds another $86,000 somewhere else, then they would still apply. So if the grant is not awarded and she elects to move ahead with the project, then all of the other components would still hold. So the discounted sale on the building, the grant, and the loan. But she would have to show that she has other financing in place in order for us to execute on that. So she does have that option if she can find some other funding source than the grant.
So is that grant just a 100% payout, or is it a match of some sort, or?
It is a match, in her other expenses into the project get us to the $86,000. Under the CDI program, the maximum grant award is $250,000. I think Scott Heacock can jump in here. It's a 50-50 grant or 50-75. And so when you look at the total cost of her project and those costs that are grant eligible, 86,000 was the maximum that was eligible for this project based on WEDC's criteria.
Okay, thanks, Scott.
Anything else from anybody? No? Okay. And Dwayne, do you have anything else to add?
No, I do not, unless there's any more questions from the village board.
I do not have any, and as long as nobody else, I would entertain a motion to approve the developers agreement with Mission Coffee.
I'll move, approve.
Second.
Moved by McGregor, second by Moore. Discussion.
Would we have to add in that motion because, I mean, you put bold, the whole project is off and underlined, so in the grant, would it be
Subject to,
to
I would say, that's okay.
the grant being awarded?
Okay.
That's part of, it's in the agreement, but it's very clear when you're doing your motion. I agree.
So,
So I would amend the motion, if I can do that, or do we have to cancel?
Those two.
The motion?
Yeah.
The only thing is we have to, if you amend it, you can do that, but we have to vote on your
amendment first.
So I would like to amend the motion to approve the developers agreement with Mission Coffee, subject to approval of the WEDC grant.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Radke. Discussion after that. Okay, hearing none. Amended motion by Sailor, second by Radke to approve the developers agreement with Mission Coffee, subject to the approval of the WEDC grant. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That one carries. Okay. Okay, anything else on?
Yes, if you would also make action on village board resolution number 2024-3.
Is that in here?
That's in your report
Oh,
right
That's
at
my
the end.
report, yeah.
It's in that report. Okay.
Right, with the whole document.
action on what?
Resolution that
Under-
goes forward to for the grant application.
Oh, we're still on the same topic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's on the
same topic, it's just under report from the village administrator.
Mhm.
Okay. So I would entertain a motion to approve the resolution 2024-03.
Yes,
It's not that one,
Oh,
that's a different one.
03. The resolution for,
Hmm,
800 different things here.
sorry.
authorized to submit.
Authorizing the submittal of the application to the Wisconsin Economic Development Cooperation for a Community Development Investment Program Grant.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Radke, second by
More.
Moore. Any discussion on that? No. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that one passes. Okay, anything else, Dwayne?
Yeah, I just want to thank the board for making the effort to come earlier to meet the people all together so we can have the folks that are on video be able to participate.
Okay. Thank you to both of the Scotts for being available for this discussion.
Yeah, glad to help and look forward to working with Jen and the village and getting this project off the ground.
Trustees are.
Scott, how come we couldn't get a hold of you right away and your younger cohort there had to do most of the talking? We didn't mean to wake you up, buddy.
I had a previous engagement scheduled for this evening, so I'm sneaking it in between things, but it's great to see you all. Have a great evening.
Thank you, have a good
Thanks.
night.
I'm gonna get a phone.
Okay, we are gonna move on to public comment for today. First on the list, I have Paul Dean that wants to speak. So, Paul?
Do I need to use the microphone?
No, you don't need to.
Yeah, so whatever you like.
Okay. Sorry, this is my first board meeting, so I'm a novice at this. I apologize if my behavior is not correct. I'm gonna try to remain calm. This has to deal with the Highway 54 reconstruction that's going to be starting on Monday, April 15th. And more specifically, the area from Seneca Road leading up to Verbunker, which is a 1 mile stretch. But if we're talking just south of Seneca Road, it's actually 3/4 of a mile stretch where the driveways begin. I've spoken with some residents that are along this stretch. My mother even talked to Dwayne Gow earlier today, and my understanding is he understands and has some agreements with these concerns. The decisions made for this project were made during the pandemic period, which would stretch from March 2020 into 2021 when there were closed meetings. Nobody knew about the details about any of this project until yesterday's meeting. information meeting that was over at Alexander Park. This includes residents on Wisconsin River Drive, a member of the Port Edwards Police Department, I've spoken with a member of the Port Edwards Fire Department, and at least one board member that is currently here today. My issues have to deal with safety issues around narrowing from 40 feet down to 32 feet, which in other words is an 8-foot loss. The new construction of the road will leave a 4-foot section on each side of the usable road, which isn't even wide enough for a car. Most of us are used to having this as an auxiliary lane, and most of us use this as a right-hand turn. Most of the streets in Port Edwards that are not highways are actually 32 feet or wider, which will be larger than what Wisconsin River Drive would be. In this area going north to south, which I'm going to refer to as the right-hand lane, there are 27 driveways and 6 streets, which leads to 33 turnways that need to take a right in that 3/4 mile stretch. That averages out to be a right-hand turn about every 100 feet. If you're going south to north, meanwhile, there's only the boat landing and 5 driveways. The issues with this revolve around cars being there, mail trucks, sanitation, recycle, garbage trucks, FedEx, lawn care removal or lawn care services, snow removal vehicles, police who are going to be pulling over vehicles in that 4-foot section, school buses that won't just be stopping to pick up students, but will also be turning onto these streets. And let me give you a prime example of what I'm talking about, that this is too narrow. Let's say that there are 2 semis going down this road in opposite directions, and we have a fire truck that needs to come through. Each one of these semis, on average, is going to be 10 feet wide. So that's 20 feet right there just in vehicles. 32 minus 20 leaves us 12 feet. 12 feet for, let's say, another 10-foot wide vehicle, not including width of mirrors, to make it down the center of this road. That leaves inches on each side. In an emergency situation, I don't see 5 miles an hour trying to go down Wisconsin River Drive as being safe. To give you an idea of also how ridiculous this lane width is, the apron of my driveway is 27 feet wide, which is wider than the usable road. This doesn't even include getting into parking issues for the Alexander House or the bridal gardens that are located along that stretch. Yesterday, for example, just driving at 7 p.m., leaving the tender, going down to Seneca Road, which I'm going to call about a 2-minute drive, I counted 53 vehicles that I crossed going in the opposite direction. Out of those 53 vehicles, 17 of them were semis. And this is during non-peak hours. I highly suggest that we should all kind of rethink this. Maybe it might be too late. I hope that it's not. I think construction can begin on April 15th, but starting for Bunker, moving on, as long as we can have some sort of idea to sit down and think about what we can do with this 3/4 stretch of, this 3/4 of a mile stretch of Wisconsin River Drive, which will become ultimately very dangerous. I guess that's all that I have to say, unless anybody has any questions.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you. Okay. Jason Warden.
Me again. During the March 18th meeting, I mentioned the amount of support I've gotten and the amount of people who've shown up to support me and the firefighters. You've all witnessed that. At the end of that same meeting, Trustee Grundon claimed something similar. She stated, and I quote, "All the people that call me, the people that have emailed me, the firemen who have emailed me, all of those people, the firemen that have emailed in support and saying, hang in there, keep going." She pluralized everything, implying multiple people, multiple emails, multiple declarations of support. As history has shown me, You can't believe everything that trustee Grundon says. So I submitted an open records request for all those multiple emails from all those multiple people and multiple firemen. This is what she provided. One short email from one person the night before the March 18th meeting. This email states you'll never have a fire department as standalone, combined with Nakusa. Same for the police department. Do not jump. You will all be remembered. Do your best. I support each and every one of you. So I don't even know what all that means. I don't know where it came from. So once again, trustee Grundon is caught in another lie. There's not multiple emails. It doesn't say hang in there, keep going, and I doubt very much that a firefighter wrote it. I wish he was here tonight. I want to tell her, trustee Grundon, please just knock it off. If you truly want to serve the people and do what's best for the village, you can start by telling the truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
I have two questions.
Okay.
Not for him.
Okay.
One, to go back to Paul, just for a second.
Oh, sorry.
Crap, what was I gonna say now?
Happens with old age, trust me.
He has concerns about 54. I know DOT is out of our spec. Is that something that he could ask those questions to Ben? And Ben would be able to maybe give him some better answers than us or Dwayne or.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Do you have any?
because of my background in being a highway commission involved, I was talking to Carol Dean, I think it was his mother today. And we were looking at cross sections. The DOT, unfortunately, I've worked on the communities, they turn around and tell you, this is the cross section that he's talking about, that you're gonna have. What they've done in other communities, and I've experienced, is if you want a wider lane, and I don't know who was here when that decision process was made. Well, if you want wider lanes, those lanes become 100% cost of the municipality. And I don't know I don't know how many were here when that discussion was made with DOT. I think Ben was the one that did most of the legwork on a project with DOT, and I haven't talked to Ben yet, but I would think that it's important that we find out how the discussion occurred with Ben now. I don't know if he brought that to the Public Works Committee or not, and I don't know how well you met during that period of time. I can understand from Mrs. Dean today, that she said it was all been done or planned during that COVID time, which nobody went to very few meetings. I know that. I was working in different places and it really did not, getting public participation. I don't think even held meetings on that.
I know, I mean, Joe and I have probably been here for
Yeah.
that, but I don't remember that coming to the board.
Okay.
Not the initial planning, definitely, that was all state.
So I would just like to direct Paul
I think it's fine.
to go to Ben.
Yeah.
Ben, if he was doing the legwork and had more, and then
What I
if there's any
found out-
other questions, Paul, you can get a hold of me or whatever.
Those are good questions. I can see them.
Number two is the open records request process.
Yeah.
Working for a school district, or police department or
Correct.
anything, there's always open records requests. Diane is the steward of those records, correct?
Of the ones I have.
Of the
Which
ones
he
I have.
has.
So when it comes to emails and stuff like that, that would be Dirk's Group or county or whoever can get in there to find those records. I think it is, I know for our school district, we would not, if I had an issue with Jen, I wouldn't go to Jen and say, please give me the records. Because she's not gonna give me the records. We have ways of getting, we have Google Docs, we have the
Yep.
Vault, and we have
Yep.
other things. I think open records requests, when it comes down to it, we have to not put that onus on the person of the issue. Because you don't know what records are gonna be provided, and if you're coming after me, of course, I'm gonna give you the ones that make me look better. But, I think we should reach out to, if there is the concern and it is an official records request, Dirk's Group or IT department, Wood County or something to look at those records.
In this case, it was directly to one individual. I had the individual get involved with the village attorney. And let the village attorney and a trustee work on it, because I had no of those records, but you are correct. If there's any records that were done on the village's email between the trustees and anybody, they would be found there. And so if we can go further, and we'd have to go to,
All of our
Wood
records.
County, that's what happened
Yeah,
during that period.
All of our records are open requests, and
Yep.
at worst case, what we would do in the school district is we would change the password. Log in, not I or any of us
No,
on the board, but
No, the
whoever,
Wood County.
and then they would do their own
Search,
search,
I understand.
so.
That can be done.
If it was done in the public.
Yeah, and what I found out was returned to me, it was the only email on the public computer. That's the only one that was returned to me.
I don't know if that really jives, because I can read my email from multiple sources, and it's the emails that are the source of open records.
Right.
So by me logging onto a computer here, that doesn't make only those records.
What I'm
public
trying to say is
access.
the only one I received was on the
Village email.
village email, was none of the private ones.
Correct. Private emails, we don't have access to.
Yeah,
Those are her
That's
records.
the only ones I know that we could look for.
Okay.
I mean, you're right.
Anything else on that?
That's just-
Thank you.
Bob Warden.
Thank you for your time. My comments are directed towards, Mr. Gow. And, Mr. Gow, I'm just wondering if you have anything more to say beyond what you said at the opening of the meeting of the special village board meeting on the 19th of March.
No, I don't have any more to say.
Okay.
What I've said is it was the stands.
After that meeting, let me ask you another question. You threatened, my son, amongst others, with sending the police force, asking the police chief to send a police officer out and get them so that they could be at an appointed place at an appointed time, correct?
I don't know if those exact words, but I have to look at the email that's was sent.
Okay, it's close enough, believe me. All
Are you okay?
right. My question for you, and then the next day, you said that had been corrected.
Yes.
Okay. If you had the authority that you thought you had when you sent that email, would you have followed through?
I don't think I'm gonna answer any more of your questions, because I don't feel I'm in a position to do that. If the board member want me to continue doing that, I'll look at their direction, because otherwise, it's my opinion.
Okay, so you don't want to answer?
I'm not going to unless the board demands me to answer it. It's in a public comment. You're asking directly to me?
Yeah.
I know you are, and I'm working for the village board, and I've done my work for them. I gave my opinions on things, so I'm not gonna respond anymore unless the village board as a whole makes a motion, and I have to respond to you, your questions.
Okay, do I hear a motion? Let the record show that nobody said a word.
Bob,
Yes.
I understand your frustration with it. I think, to speak on Dwayne's behalf, that original email came out, and then he rebutted it after that. Because he was notified one way or the other that he didn't have the authority to do that. I think that issue was not done the best way possible, of course. But I think that he has come back and made a rebuttal on that, saying that he didn't have the authority, and kind of put it to bed, that piece of it.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think he did rebut it. But I was looking for an apology. Okay, not a rebuttal, not a retraction. After last week, after that meeting, I came back after the meeting was over, and I asked Mr. Gow if he thought his statement, in fact, was an apology. And he said, yes, it was. I disagreed with him. He disagreed with me. And so we left it at that, okay? I have not had an apology, nor has anyone else that I know of, okay? Any reasonable person who makes an apology that is sincere, that apology typically includes three things. It includes the word sorry, or apology, or apologize. It includes a statement of empathy, all right? A statement such that I would like to apologize for any stress or anxiety that my email may have caused the chief and the captains. I would also like to apologize for any stress or anxiety I may have caused family members of the chief and captains. That's a statement of empathy. The third thing that a sincere apology includes is some indication that the person will make every attempt to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Okay, that's what an apology is. Now, I can read Mr. Gao's statement that he made before the meeting on March 19th, but there's nothing in there like that. And that's all I'm after. I sent Mr. Gao an email 2 weeks ago tomorrow. I asked for an apology at that time. I know that people don't like to apologize, right? Because an apology can be seen as an admission of guilt, right? And so a lot of people are afraid to do that. And I get that, all right? But 9 times out of 10, an apology is simply a statement of empathy. That's all it is. And that's all I was looking for. I sent him an email. I copied the village attorney, Mr. Abs, because I thought I'd save him a step, all right? And because if he wanted to work with Mr. Abs to make sure that there was no admission of guilt, perfectly fine with me. But to threaten people with police action and then to simply rebut the statement or retract the statement, by no definition that I've ever heard or seen, is an apology. So I'm still looking for the apology. Are you willing to offer one?
I gave my comment to the board and I didn't see a board tell me to continue conversations with you, so that's where I stand.
Very good. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. A couple people walked in late. Carrie, I did catch you. You did want to speak today? Okay.
Then you want to go first?
I didn't catch anybody who left. Okay.
All right. Most you know me, but I'm Kerry Smith. I live in the township of Port Edwards. I don't live in the village. I've lived on the same street for 51 years. I graduated from here. My daughter went to school here. My work has a property in the village, so concerns of the village are on my side. I coach youth sports of all types. I still today am involved with softball for high school. It's 20 years strong. I worked at the same place for 36 years. I've been a firefighter for 23 years in this village, 13 of them before I became an officer. I had many calls. I wish I knew the number of calls that I went on before I was an officer to learn what happens at a scene. I've been 10 years as a lieutenant before 2 months ago, I was brought up to a captain due to a false claim against me from another firefighter, which stalled my promotion. Same firefighter is the one that made the claim against Chief Warden. No action was done to that firefighter. Chief Warden has never micromanaged that department. When he told you something to do, you did it and he expected to do it. If you had questions, you could always come to him. He was a great chief. He was mistreated, in my opinion. Like I said, that firefighter that made that false claim caused tax dollars from this village. Wasted. Never coming back. Chief Warden, as he stated earlier, had 95% of support from the firefighters and the retirees. In my opinion, like I said, he was an excellent chief. Besides Anderson, I think he was the next one. I was underneath an officer from 3 chiefs. Chief Lizer, Chief Arndt, and Chief Warden. The operations of the fire department were never at risk. We did things what we were trained to and were qualified to do. Never once was I put in a situation where I felt unsafe. Back in the day, we had an accident. 2 people went in the river. Officer Staniforth was a firefighter too. Jumped in the water and saved them kids. 2 weeks later, that kid was playing basketball at Assumption, with pads on his to protect his chest from the burn marks of being revived. Was he ever questioned the training he had when he jumped in the water? Did the families ever come up and say, why did you do it? No, they're happy when someone shows up to help. So if a firefighter has a beard, like some of them did, if they were bringing water
to your house to put it out, are you gonna complain? One of the trustees said they would. She didn't think that beard should be on the fire department. I disagree. In my times, we went and looked for a kid. 3 days of work I took off, searching for a kid lost in the woods in Saratoga. I spent 1 day in Vesper, looking for 3 burn victims in a hoarder's house, searching for it, digging through the house with shovels and cutting holes in the walls to get into these rooms. Went to a fire with no face mask, no bunker pants, just my work boots, my coat, and my helmet. First ones on scene. Chief Kester and myself knocked the window up, doused the fire. Chief Kester kicked the door in, saved the pets. Didn't know if there were victims in there or not, but the pets came out. That's what we do. Is we're here to help. There's many jobs on a fire department that anybody can do. Age, handicapped, whatever, we could find something for it. What this has done, what you guys have done as a board, or PSC is run by the board or appointed by the board. You board members are voted. So it's the taxpayers of this village are saying you're doing a good job because they put you here. Fire contracts are in, what am I gonna call it, being looked at now of losing fire contracts, which is gonna increase your taxes. Rapids Fire is not set up to tank water to a rural fire. They are engines to run off hydrants. They don't run tank water. So, and if they're here and hook up to a hydrant, if no one's there to turn the hydrant on, a hydrant doesn't help you. The one comment from a resident said that she had a hydrant, so her insurance wasn't going up. Well, if no one's there to turn the hydrant on, you have issues.
Carrie, I'm just gonna tell you, you're at 4 minutes and 30 seconds, so.
Oh.
Just,
Are we done?
I'm giving you more time. I'm just
Okay,
telling you
no.
that's where we're at.
Okay, and on the association, I've been the treasurer for 6 years. Del Stewart was 31 years. We bought many equipment, donated to the youth sports, gave meals to the towns or to the Christmas time, Thanksgiving time. Used to buy Christmas trees to get artificial trees in the houses instead of real ones. That in the last 6 years, I've given $2,500 for meals. Funerals, I've given $2,000 to $2,500 in flowers from the association. Gave donation to the school for an AED. We hosted many fire activities with other departments in the area. The dance has been there for 37 years, counting last year being an issue. Never had an issue before. Now we can't advertise that it's at the Port Everett Fire Department. But yet, on the village events thing, it says Fireman's Dance. In the old days, it used to be a community dance. It used to be held at the Triangle Park. Fire department dunk tanks and the Ring the Bell. You guys, some people might remember it, some don't. We always donate anonymous. We don't like our name being on things, being publicized, because we get tons of people asking them. By what you've done, the people that are going to be affected, if this association goes away and doesn't fundraise anymore, the meals are gone. The people that, family members that are dying, they're not gonna have that. It's gonna be gone. Going into the retiree dinners that we do for the fire department. All these people, 40 years, 35 years, some of the firemen, the first fire was Seams's fire, 2 deaths. Other firemen had accidents where the family friends or family child's friend that passed, come home to deal with that. They like to come to the fire station. They like to have a meal and see what's going on. They like to have a beer. You guys don't like that. Some people said, well, just move it. Well, they like to come to the fire department to see the new equipment and what's going on. Telling them that they can't is a good support of what all the years that they gave to this village. To me, it's a slap in the face. On that, I hope the village will recognize Chief Warden and Matt Fletcher is retiring and do something for him and not just let him go away. I don't do this for awards. I don't do this for the color of my hat. I don't do it for a change of career. I do this for the village. In closing, elections have consequences. I know that. I said, I can't believe majority of the people in this village agree with what you guys have done. Maybe I'm wrong, but from the outside is what I've been hearing. I get a lot of support from a lot of departments. Drinks, meals, all bought for me. in all over the state. I was just, went one on Sunday. Not all change is good. You know, or correct. And then on Mr. Dow's, on the emails that Bob said, I had a couple emails too. Who approves these emails before they go out? The grammar in them is terrible sometimes. I got one saying I was on a rumor being accused.
Carrie, you're at 8 minutes, so
Oh.
if we could,
All right, I want to, like to say something about the crosswalk, but I won't. I want to thank Chief Warden and the other chiefs that I went underneath and the firemen and the departments I've done with. I said, and that being said, my last day is gonna be April 15th, unless you guys want me to be done sooner. Thank you.
thank you, Carrie. Brian Lukey, you have a maybe. Did you want to speak? No. Okay. Okay. So that is public comment. Under President's report, one thing I do want to say before I get into what is listed there, is that this is Trustee McGregor's last meeting, and I do appreciate the work and the sacrifices that you have made for the village and wanting to step up and help our community, and I just want to recognize that, and I appreciate all that you have done.
Thank you.
President's report, chapter 1, section, and then chapter 2 as well. I did send out some suggested changes for these ordinances. Dwayne did help me with some of them about changing the committee structure, because in our ordinances, it says that we have 5 standing committees. Oh boy. And I was planning on bringing them down to 4, taking parks and moving it underneath public works, and then changing things, FHR with IT, because if there's any kind of major spending with IT, things that would have to go through finance committee first. So again, the goal with that was just trying to combine things and lessen the amount of meetings that we have. That's financially, I mean, we're already kind of pinching pennies with some things, and I just feel like sometimes when we have double meetings, or Mr. Martinson or Mr. Gao have to come to multiple meetings and kind of give the same report between Public Works and Parks, it's kind of a doubling up. If we could just combine, especially Public Works and Parks, I think that would be helpful on everybody's schedule as well. I've sent that all to you. I know I've gotten a couple questions throughout the last couple days of that question. Oh, and then the other thing, sorry, I'm trying to pull it up right now. The other thing was adding citizen members on to 2 of the committees to bring in some new ideas, some fresh ideas, preferably people that are in those wheelhouses, so to speak. That would be the Public Works, Parks and Rec Committee, and then the Economic Development, Planning and Legislative Committee. Dwayne, while I'm pulling this up, do you have anything to add on to what I've already sent out?
I see what you sent out, and basically, you're making a recommendation to the village board, if I understand. And what I tried to do for her was able to draft the ordinances, that existing ordinance we have, and put it in a document for you so you could see what those changes would be. After your discussion, you can either, I don't know how she posted, you can either move forward with those changes, or you can make amendments till it's your ordinance, it's your process. I also talked about, I don't know, that's about, I think, main thing you didn't talk about the agenda or anything. You have to say the same, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Right,
No.
not just what you brought up. Yeah, I worked on some other things, but she took what she wanted to present to you.
Yeah. So I'm all for any of the feedback, any of the comments, questions. It's just an idea that I had. Trustee Zerflu.
Thank you, Madam President. 37 years with the Port Edwards Police Department, and now 8 years with the village board. I've seen parks, and Eric can share some of those too. be a standalone committee, then be put under Public Works, and then back to standalone again. And even though in the old days, parks didn't meet every month, if they didn't have an agenda, you know, that should apply to any committee. If you don't have something, cancel the meeting for the month. And when you talk about saving money, I respect that. But when you're talking about $25 per committee person, and knowing that, you know, even a Public Works committee, if you don't, or Public Safety also, if you don't have the agenda, don't have the meeting. Parks always will take a back seat, because if something comes up with a street or something like that, or a busted water pipe or something, that's always gonna take priority like it should. But Parks, if it doesn't stand alone, and it's not costing that much money, being repetitive, you might as well not even have it. Don't even call it Parks, it's all under Public Works. And I will consistently vote no to get rid of Parks. I will consistently vote no to merge it again under Public Works, which I said was tried and then it went back independent or on its own. I don't see what the problem is there. And then as far as trustees go, I personally, if the chairman of a committee has some stuff coming up where you're gonna get, you know, public input, that's fine. However, they will not have the issue to vote. They have no, I read in an email about maybe asking them.
Citizen?
Hmm?
Did you mean the citizen member?
Yes.
Okay, you said trustee. I was just making sure
Oh,
that.
well, trustees have the vote. Thank you
Right.
for correcting me. And that is, you talk about forming a negative quorum. All it would take is one committee member to join with two civilians, and they can kind of dominate what's going on. I think we should leave, when we get to this point, is leave Parks well enough alone. And citizens, that's gonna be basically the call of the committee members, you know. For instance, you might call in a Rob Ziegler or something, you know, on FHR committee at certain times if you had issues.
Sure.
I'm getting a little redundant now, so I will stop, but, I know Eric has another point too that, I overlooked and didn't get into, so, thank you.
The only concern I have, and I voiced it to you when I talked to you, was the process. You know, you can, just like Joe changed his committees. You have the right to change your committees however you want, but I think it's gotta go through committee first before coming to the board. The discussion needs to be there so that if there is any public input, we can't just change ordinance here at this setting. We have to allow anybody to have a comment on that. And then if it's approved in committee, then bring it up, discuss it as a board, pass or not pass. That's it.
Okay. Anybody else have any feedback? Okay, we can, so just moving forward, because the reorganizational meeting is next week. So I can leave things the way that they are for then, and then if we want to take it up in committee for, that piece to discuss more, we can.
I would think you'd be able to change your committees at any point. So if you talk and the committee, they talk about whatever you're envisioning, then if it's 2 months later, yeah, you have a reorg now, currently what we have.
Right.
If you want to pivot and it gets through committee
Right.
or whatever,
That's
then do it
just
2
what I was
months down the road. You
saying.
don't have to rush to try to push it through to get it for the reorg.
Right, but that's what, I'll just plan on, setting up the committees how we currently have them standing, and then we can go through committee to change it otherwise after that, then. Okay? Okay.
So I can understand.
Yep.
I'm gonna go to other communities and then I would come back to the board, but then like Eric is indicating, then you can adjust your ordinance based on that piece. I understand.
Yep. Okay. Thank you for that. So number 8, committee reports, trustees Zerflu Airport Commission.
Okey dokey. you all saw the minutes from our last meeting on April 4th. The biggest thing, I'll just point out a few things, that came out of the meeting. Jet fuel, sales are going up, and that's because of the little golf course down to the south of Wood County called Sand Valley. I don't know, is that an 18 or a 27 or a 9-hole course? But anyway, being facetious. The biggest thing was I anyway got a lesson in insurance. Our east gate has been broken for quite some time from a traffic accident, and then that was repaired as best we could, but then we were having problems with the gate. East gate is off 2 Mile Avenue. Okay. So the estimate for repairs and the quote confirmation that we did approve on the 4th came to $16,257.98. When I got there, I saw $10,000, I thought was what our was gonna be the price after insurance. Well, the $10,000 of the 16 is airport deductible on insurance. So we had to pay, we had to pay the, $10,000 and the insurance picked up the $6,000 in change. So that was kind of a good lesson, but the insurance company is good to work with, and I'm glad we have them, so to speak. That was the last meeting of the airport commission before the common councils in the Coosa and Rapids, the town board in Grand Rapids, and the village board in Port Edwards now are done with that year. So by rule, something that I learned when I was president, I was supposed to attend those with the charter, the original charter. The mayors and the town chairman and the village president go unless all 4 of those appoint someone they want. But that appointee has to be from the board that they govern, so to speak. So since I have 1 more year to go on the board, I'm very much interested in continuing on it. If you so see to appoint me again, I would like to do that. And our next meeting is May 2nd at 8 o'clock, and we have good coffee but no donuts, so come on out if you're ever free.
Okay, noted for your request. Thank you. Any questions for trustee Zerflu on the airport commission? No. Okay. Chairman Stewart, you were here for the police and fire commission.
Good evening. The last PFC meeting was March 25th. The action taken during that meeting was the fire chief advertisement ad was approved. That was subsequently published on the village website, the League of Wisconsin Municipalities, and the Wisconsin State Fire Chiefs Association. Those ads have been posted for a little less than 2 weeks. They have yielded 2 applications so far. When those ads expire on April 25th, I think we will decide to move forward with the applications in hand at that time, or extend the application period. At this time, I do not anticipate coming to the board or any committees and asking to adjust a salary or, I think it's probably best to work with what's already in the 2024 budget for the part-time chief spot. As I told you last meeting, we have received 3 entry-level fire applicants. A resume and application review was conducted, as well as a phase 1 background investigation for those 3. Of those 3, 2 were moved ahead in the process with anticipated what we call phase 2 background investigation requested and interviews set up with the fire department liaison team along with Chief Lupke. Those interviews have been completed, and the full commission will get a report of those interviews during our next meeting, which is on 4/15. That's Monday. In addition to those applicants, we recently received another fire department entry-level application. And we'll start that hiring assessment on Monday as well. So like I said, our next meeting is April 15th.
What time, Scott?
5 o'clock. And, you know, I just want to say that, despite some of the feelings that a lot of guys in fire, and especially the guys that have decided to retire, despite those feelings, I can assure you that I appreciate and recognize all the service that you've done for this community, and it's appreciated. I think everybody in this room feels the same way, actually. That's about it as reference to the PFC, unless anyone has any questions.
So just to clarify, we've gotten 2 applicants for the chief's position and now up to 4 for entry level.
Yeah, and one was knocked out already.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Any-
I'll keep you up to date on how that process goes, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Any questions for Chairman Stewart?
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Planning Commission did not have anything. We are on to Public Works Committee.
Public Works met on the 27th at 4:30 PM here at the Marshall Building Center. There was an update on the Highway 7354 summer project. Mr. Martinson gave us the update that the public meeting was held on April 8th, which is today, yesterday. The village is responsible for raising the water valves and the sanitary sewer manhole covers, which is budgeted in our water department budget. So the village is actually taking care of that part of it. And the rest of the project is a DOT funded, and it's their project. As far as the other lane that Mr. Dean had brought up about, that is through DOT, and I don't know if anybody, Mr. Martinson may have more context for that portion of it. An update also was given up on the Second Street project, Moreau Avenue to Bunker Avenue. The bids will be out. They started out April 1st and will close on the 19th. That's through Quest. And they'll send out bids and we'll take a look at them hopefully at the either end of April or May Public Works meeting, and we'll have those bids available so we can start that project. That's funded through TIF. Also, the snowstorm, hopefully we're done with snow. You never know, in Wisconsin, we keep, you never know, but we'll keep our fingers crossed. But it was a slow season, so we have plenty of salt, equipment's all up. Everything was good with the plows. Also the grass pick sucker machine had started April 1st. We have 2 candidates. One will start in May and one in June for summer help. And we're working with the village forester, Juris Repsa, on one, a grant. It's a IRA grant. And hopefully some of the UWSP students were around doing surveys on the trees and whatnot. This will help with the grant process that we can be eligible up to a 3-year grant. And we'll take care of some of the stumping removal that we'll need in tree planting in the future. Other than that, I have nothing else. Anybody have any questions?
Any questions for Chairman Radke on Public Works? Nope. Okay. Thank you. And then back to Trustee Zirkle for Parks and Recreation Committee.
Thank you, Madam President. It was a fun year, to say the least. We had some good times and we got everything up and running, thanks to Ben mainly, and taking over, and a lot of the plans for next year are already in the works. And, the biggest thing to point out, one of the biggest things is the dog park is under new management. They have new people, directing that. And the geese are the geese, they're still around. That's another thing, Public Works would never know how to deal with the geese, so, you know, and so that's why we gotta keep the park committee. That was a joke. And, security camera installation in the park started last week, would be 2 weeks now. And they're in concert with Chief, correct, and your officers, the security cams in the parks?
Not yet.
Not yet, but it is coming.
News to me.
Okay, it is coming. Then I don't have the date, I forgot it, but the first music in the park is set up with, Yellow Pellet, and the Chatterbox will be in again to, provide a little sustenance for the attendees. Juris Remsen also stayed and came to the, Parks meeting after Public Works, and was a little history in the 2019 windstorm that we had, and a lot of the trees that were replanted, some of them were replanted down in the parks area. And the new seedlings are doing pretty well. I would just like to publicly thank, our committee members, and, Eric, and, Jen, and Madam President. It was a lot of fun, and you talk about a committee where I don't know, the attitudes are just different, because it's not Public Works, you know, type thing. Or public safety, you know, where there's more rubber that hits the road, so to speak. And I even got Eric to smile a few times, so hell, that was worth what the admission price anyway, so. That is it.
Thank you. Chairman Zerflu. We are on to public safety.
Okay. Public safety met last week, April 2nd at 5 p.m. From the fire department report given by Chief Lukey, the rescue truck is up and running. Light bars donated to the department, and Ben Martinson will be working on installing them. I won't go through all of it, but the calls for 2024 have been slightly down. I think they were neck to neck. The first couple of months have been down this past month from previous years. Engine 1 hit a deer returning from a call, which caused some front bumper damage, and they'll be looking at replacing that. And I'm going to assume that Engine 1 won that battle. Don't want to imagine what that was like. And then we just reviewed the job posting for the fire chief and firefighters, just to review those with no changes. For the police department, the only thing to mention is the motion that's on the table. So I will ask for a motion, then I can speak on it. And that motion is to authorize Officer Abbott to obtain a therapy, search, and rescue dog to the village for the schools, nursing homes, churches, and calls of service at no cost to the village.
Did you make the motion, or are you asking?
Well, I just threw it out there if someone wants to make, I mean, I can make
Okay.
it. I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by McGregor. Is there a second?
I'll second it for discussion.
Second for discussion by Moore.
What I'll just say, and I'm just gonna read what was in the report. Officer Abbott presented a request for this dog. The therapy dog has been offered free of charge to the village. The dog would be the property of Officer Abbott and insured by him as well. No additional charge to the village. This would be utilized in the schools, nursing homes, call for service, and eventually search and rescue. Would also work with Project Lifesaver. Nonprofit is willing to help with tracking any donations for training, recertifications, etc. The question was asked about insurance liability. Officer Abbott's insurance company will cover all aspects of the insurance needed for injuries to the dog or to others. And so what it is that I think Officer Abbott is in the process of purchasing a pet which would like to be doubled for use of the village. And so I do believe that this motion would get us to maybe a memorandum of understanding between the two as far as how the dog would relate to the village or a contract, whatever they come up with. There's nothing attached to this motion as far as paperwork, but I think that was just his request for that therapy dog.
Yeah.
I saw Sailor.
So I
Fan
just have
first.
2 questions for you here, and maybe Scott can answer. I did see in the minutes that Dell asked, because there's no cost to the village. So Dell at that meeting questioned the cage or something for the back. Who's paying for that?
That would be at no cost. That would be covered by the nonprofit. It wouldn't be like a canine cage. It's gonna be like a labradoodle. It's not gonna be like a German Shepherd or anything like that. It would basically just be a platform, a wood platform with carpet on it, on top of the plastic seat, so the dog wouldn't slide it, you know, if there was a, whatever.
So another question I got is policies and procedures. Does those need to be updated prior to getting a pet of some sort?
Yeah.
And lastly, I know that in the village and the ordinances, you have to have $1 million policy for certain breeds. Now, I know that that breed is not one of the ones that are on there, but $1 million policy, I would say, would be the minimum that he would probably have to have that for me to accept that. That's it.
Do you wanna go first?
Well,
You had your.
yeah, I guess,
Are you gonna arm wrestle over there?
well,
Okay.
I think it's
Trustee Radke.
premature that we bring the motion up until we have all the paperwork. We're voting on stuff that we have nothing in front of us. I mean, I don't say that it's it may be a good idea, but we don't have anything in front of us that I can make a decision on. They've got policies, procedures that have to be rewritten, and I guess that's all I have.
Go
Thank
ahead.
you, Madam President. Yeah, it's the same thing too. It's a program with, how can you vote no against? But at this point, I could, because I have to know, Eric brought up the insurance thing, and it's just not looking and reading to make sure you got it. It's speaking to the agent to explain it, to make sure, you know. The other thing is, I don't care who's covering the cost for cages or whatever. There is no such thing as no cost to the village. I mean, that can, and that's why you also run anything new like this, through your attorney. Just what are the liabilities? I mean, some kids step on a dog's foot, the dog's gonna react, right? Not viciously, but what if they get bit? Stuff like that. The other thing is too, as Lon was saying, you know, it would have been nice to have a little bit more time on this. I mean, if we talk to the insurance company, we talk to the attorney, I'd be ready to vote for it.
Yeah, and I think that we're talking about a 2 week old dog, so I mean,
We have time.
yeah. I mean, he didn't say that there was time sensitive, so really it's just a motion for discussion. So.
Just so we can start that. Well, did you have anything to add, Dwayne?
All I added, I was at that meeting, and that was the main discussion, what's brought up right now with other trustees, was having a memorandum of understanding to cover all those issues that Eric mentioned, and Lon mentioned, and Joe mentioned, that we definitely want something in documents so we know how we're covered and handled by the village end. And it's nothing against having the program, it just, we want to make sure those things are in place.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. So we have a motion and a second. I'm trying to find my.
I made the motion, could I
Yes,
go
you
and
can.
table the, or,
Chairman can do that.
Motion to table.
yeah, I'll motion to table that.
Madam Chair, or Madam President, I would recommend that it just be polled pending we get all this work done and tabled, because if you table it for more than 60 days, it's dead.
Right.
Right. Okay, so motion to rescind.
Sure.
And then, Jen, did you want to second that?
Second.
Okay. Okay. So then we will just look for more information, get some more information. Okay, anything else out of public safety?
Oh,
Sorry, you're still on. You're not.
sorry, I'm going on to the next page. Nope, that was it. So you adjourned at 5:34 and the next meeting date is who knows?
We'll find out next week.
We'll find out, I don't know when.
Nobody's sure what gonna be going on anymore.
Oh,
Okay, planning, legislative, property, and IT.
Okay.
Trustee Grennan is gone, so.
I'll read
Trustee
the
McGregor.
report. We met an hour or just after public safety on April 2nd. There was just a discussion about Mission Coffee, which has been brought up already. We went into closed session and no actions taken at that time. The new business that we discussed was related to our village servers, and it says here we anticipate having a final quotes by next week. Dwayne, did we receive any more quotes from them?
I have not received them today, but however, did talk to staff today and they indicated, I may have not had the number of PCs that we have or sites for software for the Word and Outlook, et cetera. So I'm having that information asked for it. I got 75% back already.
Okay.
And once I'm gonna give that to Wood County and I'm gonna make sure they have that with them before we get the final cost.
So these are still somewhat accurate then?
Based on a server, based on the software, but I am concerned about the software for the Microsoft 360. I want to make sure we got it covering in the sites we have to have it at.
Okay. So our servers and operating systems for the village through, and I forget who it is, Dirks, who hosts the servers are out of date. A critical need to updating our servers and hardware due to their outdated status and its inability to upgrade anymore, surpassing their life. And so all in all, with hardware, software, and about 80 hours of setup, we're looking about 30,000 for the village. So a little bit of a rude awakening, but
That's a guesstimate.
that's a guesstimate.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And that was, based on PCs and the subscriptions for each one and things like that. And I don't know with their 80 hours, how they came up with that. For future agenda items, I'll continue with Mission Coffee, Ripple Creek Apartments, and then this server update. Adjourned at 6:48.
Mission Coffee is done.
Okay. Any questions for that committee? No. Okay. Chairman Radke, FHR committee.
We met on April 4th, relatively short meeting, went over the bills, approved the bills from that month. We did talk about the remaining money in a general account that will be used for the chip seal on Nepco Lake Road and Westport Drive. Other than that, we did talk a little bit about the old business about the IT issue, which we're waiting out of planning that Caleb just talked about. And we'll talk about that more when all the proposals come. Other than that, that was it.
Okay. Any questions for Chairman Radke? Okay. Number 9, any unfinished business? New business.
Unfinished business, sorry.
Okay.
I'm just
unfinished
thinking,
business.
the Ripple Creek Apartments. Any status on that?
Well, we are pretty well have a lot of the agreements come with the owners. And there was one more thing that the PIC committee wanted me to do with the owners to finalize it.
Okay, so that will come up the next meeting?
I hope it does, yes.
Okay. Let's see, back to report from village administrator.
I have 2 items on there, and first one's a motion to approve resolution 2024-01, awarding village staff to submit and coordinate an execution in the Inflation Reduction Act, Wisconsin Urban Forester Grant. There was another grant that, I happened to see, and I passed it on to Ben. Ben did the research on it. He felt that we should at least make the application. Doesn't mean we're gonna receive it, and if I understand right, there is no matching funds, so that's why he asked me to bring this resolution forward to you to consideration. So basically what it does, it's actually given powers, to our public works supervisor to make the following: sign and submit a grant application, sign a grant application between the applicant and the DNR, submit interim and all final reports to DNR to satisfy the grant agreement, submit grant reimbursement request to the DNR, and then sign and submit other required documents. You do all that if he gets the award, but you gotta make the request to get the grant award in the first place. So that's what the resolution is for.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion to approve resolution 2024-1, authorizing village staff to submit, coordinate, and execute the Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA Wisconsin Urban Forestry Grant. That motion was made by Radke. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Sailor. Discussion or
I just-
questions?
Want to note that that is a non-matching grant, it's just 100% grant.
Non-matching. Okay.
Thank you,
Trustee
Madam
Zuclo?
President. If I may direct this to the village administrator.
Sure.
Is this a typical DNR grant, Dwayne, where it's, time is of the essence?
Yes, it does. I saw the application, and that's why, and Ben did the legwork on it. And that's why we brought this to you, this portion of it. And again, you see no, participation that Eric's brought up, and at the same time, there's no guarantees. But it happens to be a new program out there that we're gonna try to tap onto.
Thank you, Madam President.
Okay, anything else from anybody? Okay, motion by Radke, second by Sailor. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That one carries. Okay, next one, Dwayne.
It's brought for you and put in the motion to approve, Port Plaza subdivision plat map. If you recall, we've been working, before I came, I think, and even when I've been here, we had meetings, we're working on replatting or platting the Port Plaza Commons. And I don't know if you have, it must be in your packet, I hope you do, it's got a map of it. And basically, it's taking all the owners and put them into a certified survey, and also, point of no longer being a condo plat. Therefore, every occupant or party that owns a piece of land will own their separate piece of land, have their own separate tax base and their own separate portion. At the same time, it was recommended by our village attorney that we do this. You can see at the same time, we actually cleaned up, it's called lot 11 and 12, where it was actually alley platted right through a building. So we cleaned that up area too at the same time. In this document, we're in the process of having, I want to almost say, I looked at it, almost all the signatures on it already. And basically the portion of it is that the Port Plaza Association dissolved. Association exists, owners, identity parcels have agreed to dissolve it. That's the, in the resolution. Allows Port Harbor subdivision plat to be recorded. The Port Plaza common plat shall be vacated effective as the recording of the Port Plaza subdivision. The Port Plaza subdivision plat will be recorded to Wood County. And let me see, register deeds, and all property owners will have signed agreement to remove the property from the Port Plaza. This was drafted by our attorney working with Ben, and I had worked with Ben earlier on this, and he was the, let's say the party that did a lot of work on it, and appreciate his work on it. So that's where we're at. That's in front of you.
Okay. So is there a motion to approve the Port Plaza subdivision plat map?
So move.
Moved by Zerflu,
Second.
second by Radke. Discussion, questions. Eric?
So everybody that has signed it, I feel that the village should be the bottom liner.
Yes, it is, and it says that in there.
So has everybody signed it? You know, I don't wanna make a motion, they have.
I just looked at it and everybody signed it except their village president.
Okay, so I just don't want, you know, like, Jennifer and Lee, you know, that they haven't signed it because they
They
have
did.
some sort of issue, and then we're putting the cart before the horse saying, yeah.
I went in there just before the meeting and looked it all over to make sure the signatures were on there. And all I noticed was missing our village president, and then the next, then we got to follow up for the other documents if there. But all our parties have signed except the village.
Any other questions or comments? No, okay. Motion to approve Port Plaza subdivision plat map. Motion made by Zero Clue, second by Radke. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Okay. Anything else from you, Dwayne?
And that's all I have. We've done most of the stuff that we're working on so far.
Okay. Report from clerk treasurer.
Nothing.
Nothing from Diane. Okay. We are on to trustee comments.
The comment I have is, to recognize, Ben Martinson for all the legwork that he does. I've worked with him now the last 2 years, being on Public Works Chair. And I don't know if a lot of the trustees know all the legwork that he does during the day to keep the roads and the sewer. He works with, Jason and everything to keep this going. So I just, really want to recognize him, that he does a lot of legwork and looks for grants, and somebody that's really out there to help take care of day-to-day business operations there in the village.
Here.
Also, I'd like to recognize Carrie Smith. Thank you for your years of service, Carrie. You'll be missed. Other than that, I have nothing.
Trustees or clue?
This is the last item I'm gonna talk on, so I got stared at by two individuals here. Anyway, next week, don't forget the reorganizational meeting starts at 6, correct, Diane? We've always started it at 6, and all it is to all the proper stuff and no business.
Got it.
Got that, Dwayne?
Yeah. Yep, I know that. I heard you loud and clear.
Dwayne, did you say you had something?
Yes, I did forget that, I have been putting emails out. We're trying to put together a strategic planning and goal setting meeting for April 20th. Most of you have let me know if you can participate in it. I just wanted you to be aware of it. We are also inviting the Police and Fire Commission and Planning Commission, so they can participate in it. And I think we already have the site location, which is the educational environmental learning center. Okay, I knew something with education. And then we'll be catering in lunch. Most of the people I'm trying to get to speak will be volunteering their time for the strategic plan.
You're gonna cater it? Who's bringing it in?
I'm buying it.
Oh.
Yes.
We just go and use their brand new expanded area. They got room, quite a bit in there.
The location was determined before that happened, but the food's coming from that direction.
Anything else? Or are you on trustee comment or are you on asking questions?
Trustee comment.
Okay, back to
Sorry.
trustee
Alright.
comment.
No problem. Carrie, thank you for your service.
That's it. Trustee Saylor.
I just want to, I don't wanna say I apologize to the fire department, Bob, just because you brought it up. But I want to, from here forward, with, a lot of, with changes and moving forward, I want to continue to help be that bridge, to help make the relationship between the village board and the fire department, police department, any department that we have, to be able to work together, to not be afraid to voice your opinion, to respect each other and move forward. So, I hope that you guys can keep that in your heart and we can continue to move forward. I still know that there's some things, some issues and stuff like that, but moving forward, since I'm on for another 2 years, you know, I'd like to continue to help bridge between the village board and police and fire and every other department, because, we're all adults. Sometimes we don't know what we don't know, And I guess that's it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Eric.
If you can indulge me as I do my farewell for a moment. I write speeches every week, but this is not a sermon, considering it's only 1 page long, but it is a page. As my time on the board comes to an end, I would like to offer up my heartfelt gratitude for the members of this board. And actually, before I do that, before I forget, is I want to thank Carrie for her service as well, but also to add that I would say Carrie Smith has attended more of our meetings than any other person. And I think that that showed a willingness to receive information, and has been very helpful when we needed that information that he's given us. So I do thank you, Carrie, for your service, but also being a dedicated citizen to our meetings throughout this past year. But first, I'd like to say something to Trustee Saylor, that I've come to appreciate your longevity on this board and your institutional memory, which has proven to be helpful in recognizing how current events have played out before and how history can repeat itself. Next, to Trustee Radke, I've come to appreciate, and we've joked about this before, what we've termed your fiscal conservative, yeah, that word. Every board needs someone like you in order to maintain a balance in its spending habits, and I appreciate your resolve to being fiscally responsible. To Trustee Zerflu, I've come to appreciate your understanding of municipal laws and procedures whenever we need help getting through complicated situations, and also your words of support as well.
Thank you, sir.
To Trustee Moore, I've come to appreciate your level-headedness, and whenever we are looking at 2 options, you would like to consider a 3rd option as a middle way forward. And I appreciate your contributions to help find a way forward. I'm very happy to have served with you on the board and public safety. To President Mansell, I've come to appreciate your leadership and direction as our president, and seeking ways to clarify and to see the bigger picture, and to forge our way through some tough but necessary issues. To Trustee Grundon, I've come to appreciate her ruthlessness and determination. And whenever we all wanted to give up and bury a hatchet, she had a resilience that few of us wanted to engage in, but her thoroughness and time spent in research has helped keep no stone uncovered, and I've come to appreciate her boldness in speaking up with what she feels is right. To Administrator Gao, I've come to appreciate your knowledge of municipal order and structure, and your determination for efficiency, even as you have balanced issues of personal and professional nature, and you have given us more direction and clarity as a 2-day-a-week part-time interim who lives an hour away than I've seen in the past. And that past is short, but still.
It's short.
Next, to Diane, for your handling on the village's financial health and ability to produce whatever we needed to help us understand the financial situations of the village and its departments, provide clarity in some legal matters that come to us from state and interpreting that. Next, to former Chief Warden, and I like to say this with eye contact because this is sincere, except I can't read and have eye contact, but I have come to appreciate your support of your department and for speaking from your heart on issues that matter the most. And I appreciate working with you as well. To Chief Drew, good job. I have come to appreciate how approachable you are and how you have highlighted the importance aspect of small town law enforcement, which is camaraderie. And I've come to appreciate your candidness and frankness about issues of concern, and your ability to be courteous, no matter beliefs or affiliations or opinions in our personal interactions. So I thank you for being a cop who's approachable and friendly. And then I extend to Ben, to Kim, and all of our village staff as well, and just for the board as well. And the thing that I realized, never thinking I'd be on this side of it, but realized it's so easy to lump either a department as a whole or a village board as a whole as if we're a monolithic whole, but we're not. We get elected, we're still residents, we're still citizens. It doesn't cease because we're elected. And people like to say the board did this, the board did that, but that's not how it always works out. We're not a monolithic whole. And I think we need to appreciate that we're 6, 7 individuals who don't always agree on things. And sometimes we have to follow through what we have agreed upon, but that's the same too as we talk about our departments and the boards. And something I've appreciated is to just not lump us all into some big brother group or something come down from the state as if we do our job. And I'm glad that I worked with people who want to do their job, and it's a nasty job sometimes, but that's all I have to say. Thank you.
What time is your sermon?
Thank you.
I don't know, but that was a quarter of one, so thank you.
I do have things to piggyback after what have some people said. I will try and make this quick. Carrie, thank you for your service. I agree that you're here at every meeting. You give us information and you are willing to have a conversation and talk. And I've always appreciated that, even if we don't agree, which sometimes we don't, and we've had that conversation. But with that, the biggest, there's been a lot of different conversations happening in the last couple of weeks. I've heard a lot of different concerns from a lot of different people. They're seeing our meetings, they're seeing the public comments, they're seeing posts on social media. And I just want to say that it's been hard to sit through and watch some of these things and hear some of these things that are being said. But the bottom line, it is acceptable and it is actually healthy to disagree with somebody, and how you disagree with somebody matters. And that's just something that we have to do, is to voice our opinions, even if it hurts feelings unintentionally. But we have to work through that, and we have to grow and to be adults about that. We are one community, whether individuals have lived here all their lives or new residents due to the boundary agreements, or we are transplants who have chosen to make Port Edwards our home. My expectation going forward is that board members, employees from every department, engaging in citizens, we work in a positive manner for the best interests of the village. But we can disagree, but let's disagree with some dignity and respect for each other. So that is what I have for that. For committee calendars, obviously, we don't know anything besides the PFC meeting. We will figure that out next week. Otherwise, I will call for adjournment at 8:14. Thank you.
I don't want to ask Joe